Good evening. Tonight we're doing some bard duty roulettes. Of course, as is tradition, it is me who is the only bard, the one that has to play bard specifically. So hopefully some of you guys want to come along for the roulettes, but you don't have to play bard to be in the group. Sometimes we've tried actually doing like content as only the job, but Bard hardly has any sustainability, so probably can't do that, even though it would be very fun. And I can see that Coco and Gazel and Matthew is already here. We have the sages of candy up here. Maybe they will share their wisdom with us. I don't know if... I was testing some sound leading up to this. Is there like a weirdly... like, does the sound as it usually does? I hope it does. Because I felt there was something off, but then I didn't have time to actually fix it. I go, oh, there's something weird here. Well, let me see. What do I normally do when this isn't working? Well, there's 2 minutes until stream start. The sound is sound. That's good. Hey Jack, hey Mia, hey Mijuels, and hey Gilano. I hope you're all doing well as well. Yeah, but we will be going through the list of roulettes as we always do. And we'll see how long that takes. Hey Lemon, hope you're doing well. I also fixed the light, which was missing on the last stream. I think it's a little less yellow now, but it's also a little brighter now. And here's Sip as well. Gelano's down there. And yeah, Gazel told me that it is very, very easy to find my house. Like you can't miss it. As soon as you know which ward you need to look in. It is very, very pink, and it might be the most pink. Why is everyone else so green? There's some black over there, like some like gray, like very, very, very dull colors, and then we have the pink mansion over here. You just won't miss that, right? You could be better? Well, I hope it goes better, Lemon. Hope you will get better. Hey Tracy, I hope you're doing well. Right, we're starting with expert roulette. So if anyone wants to come along for expert roulette, do let me know. That of course requires that you have expert roulette. And then we'll see if we can make a light party out of that. If I know Matthew right, they're busy with something around this time. And Sip ran into my house. Should we see if we can find Sip in the house? Wow, this is expanded. Weird. I didn't even think there was more space to be had here. House tour? Well, we can have a house tour. We can have a house tour. This is the ground floor where there is like just a lot of empty space. There's also a little dance spot over there if you feel like doing that. Here is the pot that the specific pot and table that I used for the Oops All Sage thumbnail. That of course wasn't actually where Kai was situated. That was a green screen. And then we also just have this where there are some things that people have gifted me on. And here we have a little things that look Japanese. I think Arya made this. We have some food here. What the Lopreds doing? There are local vendors. Yeah, there's actually a whole selection of carbuncle furniture. There's also a clock. I don't think that's that, though. There might be a carbuncle clock somewhere. Hey, Orion. And hey, Asian. And then we have the arts and crafts room. Where there's prepped so that you can have some fruit. Made out of genuine carbuncle, hopefully not. And then we have the science and chemistry room, where there's even like a constant shower in case you need to clean yourself for any reason. We also have some gems. It almost looks like you can buy stuff, doesn't it? And Sip changed the music. And over here we have the what's the word? It's where you go when you're not doing well. Little place to sleep if you get sick. Yeah. And here we have the classroom, which is where Kai is in the pre-stream section. You know, for the 2 first minutes, she's sitting here. And that's the upstairs. That's Coco. And then go downstairs. This isn't finished, but this is a Sip's project situation. We're missing chairs. we're missing chairs. Also, carbuncle light. Yeah, we're missing a lot of chairs, but you can see this is where I can hold a speech, and once I figure out how to get it done, how to get the things just right, I might just have like memes playing in the background, like up there on the green screen, while I'm having my speech, and being like, hey, focus, don't look at the green screen behind me, look at me, I'm talking here. Hello, Oshi, hope you're doing well. But yeah, and then Sip is working on this little prep room, which was only had this bit the other day. I didn't even know there was this space before, so suddenly there's more space. Pretty wild. Yeah, we have a green screen. It's not perfect. There's it isn't completely perfectly like a bright green, so it's a little hard to make it work. But I was trying. And Sip says that room, this small room over here, is worth 600,000 gil with the dye on the carpet. Because Sip put pure white dye on the carpet. So, nice. Right, that is basically the tour of the house. There isn't like a huge amount, but yeah, there's like a little bit of like a school aesthetic, at least the idea is that. So we have a classroom, we have like specific rooms for specific types of classes. Then we have like a big stage downstairs. That's pretty cool. And basically anything that looks like it actually took effort to make. I didn't make it because I don't know how to do housing stuff. Like, I made this. Like, I made this bit over here. And I made that over there. Sip made everything downstairs. And I'm pretty sure Arya made most of everything upstairs. I think I placed that. Yeah, we have a little dance situation here. I never figured out what to do about it. I actually just like dumped them there. Like I just dumped them there and said to both Ari and Sid, if you can figure out something to do with this, go for it. And then no one took them. So now they're there. Kai is the Wolf of Louisoire with a 20 million gil. Yeah, as I was saying, roulette time. Do we have some people that want to come along for roulettes? No, Orion. I have 20 million. The house costs like just the plot cost me like 42 million. And that's just the plot. Then there's the stuff in it. Lemon, there is actually a bunch of things to furnishing a house, and the bigger the house, the more difficult it becomes, because I believe a medium house has 50% more furniture slots than a small one, and a large house has twice as much as a small one. But remember, a small one, like a medium house, has like twice the space of a small one. And a large one has like at least 3 times, if not more, as much space. So there is like more space, but you don't have as much things. Like you can't actually furnish as much. Like a small house will become more concentrated because of that. Lisa asks, what did you use as your exterior? I haven't actually changed it. It is basically just carried over from my small in the goblet. So it's Uldar themed. Now here's a little trick. The price for the house you put on your on your plot, the small one is way cheaper than the big ones. And the thing is, if you actually move like from a small to a large, they will actually copy and like gift you the large version, like the large equivalent of the house you had. Like if you had a small of a specific type, you will get the large of that type. And given that the large version costs like 10 times more, you basically get paid to move if you move from a small to a large in that respect. But I have thought about replacing the house with a carbuncle house. Emia says, how much does a small house cost, generally speaking? I believe it's around 3 million. Like 3 or 4 million. That does not include the house, but the house is not super expensive. With a large house, the price is like the price for just the house you put on the plot is like 4 million, if I remember correctly. So you need more than just to be able to, like, if you can just barely afford the plot, then you cannot buy a large. Lemon says the cost of the plot doesn't include the house. Nope. If you're buying your first plot, you just, like, if you win it, you just get the empty space, and then there's like a huge square that says here you can put a plot, and I believe there is like a requirement of you to put a house on the plot within a certain amount of time. And to put a house on it, you need to buy a permit, and one of the ways you can find a permit, I believe you just go here. I think. I'm pretty sure you can buy a permit directly from here. There it is. You can see these cost 3 million, but you can only buy those that are matching your region. 45 days to get a permit and build the house. Yeah, so if you spent an eternity getting the money to get like a large, then you just have to remember you need to have an additional 3 million to pay for the house itself, unless you're moving from a small to a large, because then they will give you the house upgrade for free. Hey Nicola, hey Nicolaus. Right. If I know Matthew right, he's usually just hanging out. Becomes AFK after a while. Himia says I'll need about 10 million for a small house. No. So for a small house, you need like 3 to 4 million to buy the plot. And then you need like 450,000, as Gelano said, to actually buy the permit. So at most like 5 million and you should be fine. Now the thing is that you also need to have money to actually be able to play the game, right? If you don't have money to teleport anywhere. And then it also depends on how much furniture you buy, right? If you fill everything out with expensive stuff, then you need a lot of money. Like a huge amount of money to do that. Right. I don't think we have a fourth. Is it just the three of us? Does Shade want to join? Jack says, if you're really rich, you can hire a house designer to do the dirty work for you. That is true. There are some players that basically offer to fix your house for a price. Now, I don't know if they pay out of their own pocket for the design, or if you have to pay for that separately, but you can probably assume that if it costs them 10 million to furnish your house, then they're probably going to ask for a lot more than 10 million, right? Like, for both Zip and Aria, I have told them, I hope I've made it clear that if they need to pay, like need money to pay for some of the stuff in my house, they just have to say it. Because I wouldn't want them to like go, oh yeah, I have no money. Where's your money? Oh, I put stuff in your house. Oh, meanwhile I'm sitting here with my money, right? It's not entirely fair. But then Zip just dunked like pure white dye on the carpet in a small room. So here we are. But yeah, it is a good strategy. Like, if you want to have a large house, but you don't know how to furnish it, then a good strategy is to find someone else that can furnish it for you. For me, I had the money to buy a large, and this was like the one opportunity to buy a large where it wasn't completely impossible. So I tried, and I was lucky. And then, instead of going, oh, I have to furnish this, I just remembered, oh, I have two friends that like to decorate houses. So why should I? Like, if I'm like, I don't really feel like furnishing my house. Like, it's no big deal. And I have two friends that actually want to do it. Like, they think it's fun. They just want more space to furnish. Then why do that? Ymir, what are you saying, Ymir? Spying on the really that bad? What? Well, the thing is, the way the housing market works is that if there is a free plot, for example, like, is there one in this? Nope, everything seems to be filled out in this. Let's say, hypothetically, that there was a free house, like a free plot. Like, then you can, while the plot is like up for sale, you can run up to the plot here, and then there will be like a bid option. Yeah, exactly, hypothetically, because there might actually not be. There's no point in me going out and looking for one, because there might not actually be a single free open one, right? You can bid on it, and it will tell you how many people are bidding on it currently. And then, I believe it's on Fridays. I think it's on Fridays consistently, but after a set amount of time, they will, like, choose who the winner is randomly. Just pull a number out of a hat and go, oh, you won. And the winner then has like a few days to go and claim it. Everyone else gets their full money refunded. If the winner does not actually go and claim it, then they only get half of their money back as punishment for wasting everyone's time. But if you go and claim it, then you have your house. Well, you have your plot, and then you can buy a house. But, let me put it like this. There was like 2 or 3 large houses, or large plots like this one, in the lower price range of large houses, which includes this one, that had only one person bidding on it. So I bid on the cheapest one that only had one other person bidding on it. Like, I had done everything in my power to maximize my chance of winning, and it was still 50%. Right? It was 50%, and that was also at a time where like 5 new wards had opened. So a lot of people were distracted by the amount of plots. People wanted the Ishgard house and the Shirogane house, and that makes the lavender beds a little less popular because the newer ones are cooler. And I didn't actually care where I landed. I looked exclusively at the price. Like, that was actually the only thing I was looking at. The price and how many was I competing with. And that's how I got a large. If a house becomes available because, you know, the person stopped playing and it gets demolished by time or whatever other reason, then you can almost guarantee there's going to be like 10 people bidding on it. Because there's not enough housing for everyone. And this is partly because every character can have a house. And every free company can have a house. Now, they've made it so that there are some free company exclusive ones and there are some like private exclusive ones, but the point is that there's not enough housing because there's technically an infinite amount of buyers. The question is whether there are actually people that want to buy it, and the answer is always yes. At least in EU and NA, I've been told that in Japanese data centers, it's not a problem. My free company got a medium in Ishgard. It's actually really funny because we bid on a medium in the first week of the Ishgard housing being available, while every other FC was looking to buy a large. We just went, we'll just settle for a medium. The extra funny part was that halfway through the bidding process, when we had already like 2 or 3 people from our free company had bid on a plot to maximize our chances, because you can do that, we realized, well, one of us among us realized that they actually rather wanted the house like right next to, which was also a medium, because there's like a snow pile next to it, so it can throw snowballs. So we had to grab another 20 million out of our deep pocket, like, wow, it goes like really deep. Grab another 20 million out and hand it to another free company member and go, okay, you and go bid for us on that plot, right? Because you can only bid on one house per player. You can't both bid on a private and an FC house at the same time. So that was really problematic, but we got we won both houses. And because that first week was the first time the lottery was a thing, you know, some of you may have heard of the 0-1 glitch. We got all of our money back despite us winning both plots. We got all of the money back from the house we didn't want, and well, we paid for the house we did want, right? Right. It's pretty funny. The bug was that it would say that 0-1, and there was a glitch that basically made it so that you always got all of your money back. It was really weird. And they added an NPC that allowed you to give the money that you actually owed. If you felt bad. Now my question is, how many people do you think actually did that? I mean, well, I shouldn't have gotten that money, so I'll just hand it back to them. I don't know if the NPC is still there. But it is pretty funny. I think it's very, very cute that they added that NPC, because I couldn't possibly imagine ever doing that myself. Like, I could not imagine handing that NPC, like, you know, just, oh yeah, I didn't need my those 20 million. No, go ahead, go on ahead. You can have them. I didn't need them anyway. Like, I think there was something about a title or something for doing it, but I'm pretty sure there was no reward. So it was just, you feel like it, you can do it. Like, if you feel like you cheated, like, I think some players might feel like it could, in some weird way, like, invalidate their house or their character or something, that they didn't like, that they got the money in an unjustified way. Overly honest, what do you mean? Oh, Gilanos, that's Aradil, says they made Bills of Contritions posters as an apology. Oh, was that what you got if you handed your money back? Like, you got a special poster? That is actually pretty significant, because I think some players might actually be willing to get that, because that would be very special and exclusive. This is where we are in the awkward spot of, do you use cooldowns or do you wait for the boss? And in this case, the answer is wait for the boss. That is also true. Zip was not among the people in our free company that helped with buying the house for us, because he was busy trying to get a house of his own. Oh, I messed up my songs. What a great start, isn't it? I messed up my songs. That was how quickly I made a mistake. The first boss. Oh, Coco, the trick Zip has is that he's actually pretty good at making money. The problem is that he's even better at spending it. Like, Zip is actually impressively good at spending money. Like, it's actually incredible. Like, he almost deserves like a medal for that. For his ability to just spend money. Now, that of course implies that the way this balances out is that he's so good at making money that the way that he could afford a house is that he somehow made more money. Gazel says, any tips on that? Zip is very good at doing mindless grinds. One of the ways Zip has made a lot of money, I recall, is the Firmament. If you go for the times where there's like those events for an entire day, I can't remember what it's called. The special fates in the Firmament. You just do those all day. Then you'll get a lot of those presents, and those presents are worth money. Well, the things that come out of them are worth money. Fates, that's right. Can't remember if it is like or how's that said actually? I believe it had a very special way of saying it, but it's basically fates all day, and they come like extremely regularly for the entire day. French, indeed. It gives enough money that it is worth considering. Fêtes is actually the French for festivities. Oh, well there you go. That is very nice. Thank you, Delano. Coco, this dungeon came with 6.4, so it is technically the newest one. Zip says, is all people from Ishgard French? No, that's just this weird... I don't know if it's weird, but there's this thing with Ellison being very French-inspired, especially the Ishgardians, I believe. Something like that. Emir says, do you think they will add more housing areas? I don't know. My guess is possibly no. But how many housing areas do we have? We got a new housing area in Stormblood, which just so happened to be in a Stormblood area. And then we got a new housing area in Endwalker, which happened to be in Heavensward area, right? So maybe in like 8.0 we'll get another housing area. We might. They might also go that it's too much to make housing areas. Like we have already been told that the last race that will ever be added is going to be the female Hrothgar. That is the final one. The firmament was in 6.0. That is true, but the housing area was in 7. Right? No, wait, in 6.0. In 6 something. Exactly. But the firmament... Oh, wait, okay, sorry. I'm getting confused because you're calling it the firmament. The housing area is called Imperium. The firmament itself was from Shadowbringers. The firmament is from Shadowbringers. So the firmament was like a huge event for several patches in Shadowbringers, and then in Endwalker was when story-wise it the work was finished. It is. I think it's pretty common that people refer to the Ishgard housing area as the firmament, because that's basically what it has been for years at this point. Oof. So many cooldowns. Just click everything. It's a bard in a nutshell. Oh, everything's ready. Yumia says, remember to limit break? I will try. Next pack. After this one. If we want to do the pack before the boss. Yeah, Ishgardian Restoration was a really cool event. And now, when I say event, it makes it sound like it was like a month and then it was over. But it was actually like... I think it was like every single major patch, something new was happening in the firmament. Like a new season happened or something like that. When is the Morabi Dogs gonna finish the victory? Well, it's going to be a victory when they do. Victory housing area. That is the thing. I think I talked about this on like last stream or something, but people knew that the Imperium was going to be ready in like early Endwalker. So, but before that, people were already like pointing at the Crystarium and was like, "Can we have housing area here?" And then they saw places in Endwalker and went, how about here? Can we have housing area here? And they, like, by the time the Endwalker trailer stuff had finished, people had basically requested housing in 2 zones. Exactly, housing on the moon? Can we have housing on the moon? And then... like, in the same stroke, they were like, can we also have housing in Sharlayan? Like, I believe in that trailer, he was like, you asked for Crystarium last week. And we haven't even given you Ishgard yet. I feel like, honestly, what we need the most is more wards and not so much more housing areas. Like, I would gladly, like, say, like I would rather have that we are guaranteed that we are having, like, like 10 extra wards. I would rather have that than an extra area. Like 10 extra wards in all the existing areas would be better. That would actually be more housing now, because that would be 50 wards worth. But it would probably, I would guess that that would be easier than making another housing area, honestly. Like, just across, like, just in general, I think that would be a better option than making more housing areas. Just make more wards. Make more wards to put people in, because clearly there isn't enough. There still isn't enough. And then the counterpoint, of course, is if they add that much more wards, there will just be more people getting house. Just move data center. Just everyone, let's just all go to the Oceanic data center. That's where all the remaining housing is. Let's just go over there, right? Let's just all go. We'll make a little trip out of it. It'll be nice. Oh right, the breathstroke. Every button. I think I pressed one thing too many times. I used a single stack pitch perfect. Oh boy. Hey Mally, how are you doing? You too. Do you use pitch perfect on 2 or 3? 3 unless is the correct answer. I'll go into the unless after the boss. There we go. So, the way that it works is you use pitch perfect on 3 because let's find the action itself. So 1 is 100 potency, 2 is 220, and 3 is 360. That makes sense. I think we're all on page with that. But 3 means an average 120 per stack, while 2 means 110 per stack, and 1 means 100 per stack. And the key thing is that pitch perfect is equal to bloodletter on 2 stacks. The reason why we use Wondrous Minuet on, like, with raid buffs is because 120 is more than 110, and then there's also the part that Mage's Ballad technically only gives half of a bloodletter and not a whole one. But the unless to the 3 stacks is, and it actually happened in this boss fight. The thing is, what I did instead was I didn't do anything. Like, I talked about this in my opener guide, is yes, there are all the perfect openers in the world, and you can do them perfectly. There's like Machinist, completely strict rotation, where you don't do a single mistake and it pans out in this specific way. There are the Samurai rotations with the fillers and everything. All of these things, But in practice, unless you are like extremely routined with a specific boss fight, that's not how it's going to go down, right? That's not how it's going to work. So here, in my situation, I'm not very routined with Bard, actually. I don't think I've played Bard in months. So that's how I make such a mistake, like messing up my songs on the first boss. But the exception to you use Pitch Perfect on 3 is if Pitch Perfect is on 2 and Imperial Arrow is about to be ready. Then you use Pitch Perfect on 2 so you can use Imperial Arrow. And the reason why that's important, why that is even significant, is because as the Pitch Perfect stacks can come in with an 80% chance every 3 seconds, if the timer is such that you can't do Imperial Arrow, Pitch Perfect, Burst Shot, and then you get a stack, then it means that what can happen is that you go Burst Shot, Imperial Arrow, you get a stack, but you already have 3, but you get 1 from the timer, then you do Burst Shot, and then you do Pitch Perfect. But you could have had like an extra 100 potency, and a 2 and a 1 is better than possibly not getting that extra stack, right? Like the probability that you're getting a 2 and a 1 in that situation is 20%, and that is 320 potency. And the probability that you do get a 3 and a 1 is 80%, which is 460 potency. And if you choose to ignore it and do Imperial Arrow anyway, then you get 360. So numbers, blah blah, on average, it's better to do 2 and a 1, because you might get a 3 and a 1 in that specific situation. And why I say a 1 is because you don't know if you're getting 2 extra stacks for that 1 that you're getting for your Imperial Arrow. You don't know if you get 2 extra to pair it with, right? So that's why you're risking a 2 and a 1 instead of a 3. It sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is. I do believe I also address this in my Bard guide. In a much more clear way, I'm sure. But the answer is, you do 3, but if you're expecting to get 2 stacks before your next GCD, essentially, then you do a 2, because it's better to get that extra stack instead of risking it. And it happens often enough because Imperial Arrow comes up every 6th GCD or so. Let me see. Mally said, I'm going home right now. Maybe can be that to do Alliance Raid with you guys if you have some space for me. You know what? I'll make sure we do Alliance Raid last. Then we'll see if you can make it for that. I'm pretty sure the 1 million thing, Orion, is a one-time thing, but I'm not, 100%. Hazian says, Red Mage rotation. Do whatever you like until you have, 80 mana, and then do a melee combo, and then go back to doing whatever you like. Well, you can... The trick with the melee combo is that you can use it at 50. The moment that you can afford it, you can use it. But the huge advantage that Red Mage has is that they have half of their resource bar to plan it if they feel like it. And the reason why that's important is because the melee combo is 12 or 13 seconds of free mobility. And for a mage, that is pretty big. So sometimes the Red Mage would be incentivized to save a melee combo. Specifically because there's a high movement thing coming up. It's similar to how with Black Mage, yes, saving your triple cast for 2-minute burst is a DPS gain, but an even bigger DPS gain is using triple cast when you have to move. If you have to move more than you can normally, then triple cast is pretty well invested there. Krasadi says, I'm lurking. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy Savage, Krasadi. Right, we are doing level 90 dungeons next. But it is really nice that Red Mage has that. It has that level of flexibility. The problem that a lot of players can't like look away from is the fact that the best Red Mage in the world will still be significantly weaker than the best Black Mage in the world. Both players playing perfectly on the same boss fight, simply because of balance reasons. The problem is that in reality, you don't need those extra 10% damage. Like, that is optional. Like, if every job did exactly the same damage, then every job has to be able to do the same utility, right? It's a long story. It's a long, complicated story. But essentially, there has to be a price for utility, otherwise utility jobs become overpowered. It sounds ridiculous when you say when I say it like that, but it makes sense. The problem is just that in actual Savage content, the utility that a Red Mage brings to the table is not very valued once you're on farm, right? The moment you're on farm, the Red Mage doing less damage, the Red Mage doing less damage than a Black Mage means that if you can use either, it's better to use the Black Mage. Like, if we're like talking just like cold hard logical optimization, right? Which you shouldn't. It's a video game, we're here to have fun. I know, shocker. Very, very surprising. Some of you may want to get a glass of water. Me dropping the truth bombs over here. Yeah, we are here to have fun. And if you have fun playing Red Mage, then it does not matter that you're doing slightly less damage than a Black Mage. Asian says, I can't wait to play a healer with the rotation of doses, 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 doses. Oh, well, remember, there's also Flemmer. Sometimes you have to use Flemmer, you know? I have too many buttons to press in the opener. It's too much. It's too much. Power overwhelming. I have so many arrows. Hold all these arrows. Ah, I messed up my songs again. I thought I got it right this time, and then I didn't. Well, it was only 4 seconds this time. Last time it was like 18. Oh, this one. It is pretty funny, a little, it's not useful, you can't really use anything with it, but it's pretty funny. If you use Iron Jaws as the dots are running out, so like they're actually gone by the time Iron Jaws lands, but if you start the animation while the dots are still on the target, then you will actually see the dots drop off the target and then reappear. Like you'll just place new ones, because the game keeps track of whether you used Iron Jaws with the dots and checks whether the dots are actually there separately, you could say. Well, actually, they check whether the dots are there, and then like a second later goes, oh, we should apply them. Which means that you have like this weird fraction of a second where you could have nothing, and then you just generate a new dot out of thin air. As I said, you can't really do anything with that fact. It's just if the timing of you using Iron Jaws happens to line up just right, then it might happen. Really funny. And I think it's really funny, also speaking of melee healer, Gassel, that I feel like I've heard people describe Sage as a more melee-oriented job in PvP, simply because they have to be close so much more because of the significantly shorter cooldown on Flemmer. Like, you have to keep going in. So instead of running away, it might be better to just stick around. Hazian says, I got a triple chain res in proc while red mage on my 2 healers and a DPS, and I was so happy. Wow. And we wiped 30 seconds later. But still though. Indeed. You still got your good experience. I've run into this gimmick with Iron Jaws more so because I am really good at forgetting to apply it. So that's the way that I've been introduced to this little detail, is that I rely on it to make things work. That's incredible. I think I didn't get a single repertoire proc for like a good 9 seconds. Wow. How annoying. But you know, Hazian, on the bright side, if you had lived for much more than 30 seconds later, you would probably have eventually ran into some insane mana issues on account of you having just dropped 8,000 MP on races. Actually closer to 9,000 with the vacuous you probably used in between. Like, you probably didn't have MP to do much else after that. I feel like Bard is one of the jobs that really would benefit from like, even if you're not used to doing it, like having like a bar like on the middle of your screen ish dedicated to like tracking some cooldowns, because that is certainly a job where I feel like I regularly look down on my bars like, maybe I've forgotten something. Have I forgotten something? Have I forgotten something? Exactly, Guile Luldog. Like, one of those, like, well, just like some players add a bar where they track some of their cooldowns. A trick I've read that people use to make sure you don't accidentally click on it is they just use M icon macros for it, because those you can just not add the the functionality behind the button, and then you can accidentally click on it and it doesn't do anything. I haven't used it. Like I feel like the game goes slow enough that I can keep track of everything that I need to on most jobs. But Bard is certainly one of those where I feel like, okay, maybe I need a little bit of help. Coco says, "Oh no, my dots." Ah yes, that is my move. That is exactly what happens for me, which is why I know the Iron Jaws thing. Is that I go, oh yeah, I'm playing a job that has to apply dots. Oh right, that's right. And I remember it like 1 frame before it's too late. Like many job guides, those one takes in the end of my guides where I showcase the opener and the rotation. Too many of them has had to be redone because I forgot to reapply my dot in time. Like too many of them. I look up at the enemy and I'm like, oh right, my dot. And then I just like stop recording, go out, reset, start over. It's even better when the opener was really difficult. Because then I was like, yes, I got it! Now I just have to do the rest of the rotation and not mess up. 30 seconds later. Today's short, the Bard opener, and why I can't record it for the life of me. That would be pretty funny. I think Bard is one of those where I was like really dreading it because I didn't feel like I could get it right, but then it didn't take as long as I thought it would. Meanwhile, Machinist, with its no dots, is the kind of opener where I usually have to take, like, it takes me like an hour to get it right. Yes, Coco, this is the big cheese, and not only is it the big cheese, but there's actually a cheese that warriors can perform on this particular fight. Actually, all tanks can do it, but warriors are particularly good at it. Let's see if Sip does the thing. So you can actually big cheese the big cheese. Well, we had the specific configuration where you don't have to do the cheese. So the cheese is that those mines, they give you a vulnerability stack. Oh right, I have a dot. They give you a vulnerability stack. Oh, Sip did it now. Nice. But if you have barriers, so you take 0 damage from your from the mine, then you don't take any debuffs. So that is the big cheese on the big cheese. I didn't limit break on the last trash pack. That is exactly it, Hazian. That is actually the reason why I said, well, actually all tanks can do it. Because Paladin and Gunbreaker can do it by using their invuln. It's a little bit more costly on Gunbreaker. Dark Knight and Warrior can just put barriers up. Like they don't even need to use their big invulnerability. They can just put shields up, and they can just yoink it, no problem. It's really funny. That I think I included that. I think I'm pretty sure I included that in my 10 mechanics video from a little bit ago. I included a tip that that you can use, like that if you take 0 damage from a lot of mechanics, then you're fine. Like you can just ignore it. It doesn't apply to all mechanics, but there are some really funny ones where it works. A particularly funny one is so Ifrit, you know, normal, hard, extreme, all of them. He has this attack where he just explodes, which causes a knockback, and it's really, really, really fun for melee and casters that happen to be too close. It's the best mechanic. There's like nearly no tell, so you just get smacked by it. If you take 0 damage from it, it does not knock you back, which means that in the hard version of level 50, a sage or a scholar can basically nullify this mechanic by just reapplying your creation prognosis or succor, and just making sure everyone has a shield. Then the mechanic doesn't do anything. Not sure whether that is actually like worth it, because it costs you a lot of attacks to do that. But on normal, you know, the level 20 version, where you're 4 players, it's like, I'm pretty sure the only job that has a shield at level 20, I think it's Ninja and Summon, well, Rogue and Arcanist have shields they can apply. And yeah, that is correct, Emir. Hades Extreme has mechanics that work like that as well. Wherein you can, I believe the cone attacks. So in the intermission, where you have to soak meteors, where the tanks typically soak meteors, and everyone else gets the cone AoEs, if you take 0 damage from the cone AoE, then you don't get the magic vulnerability. Which means that if you have a sage or a scholar that is quick on the trigger, they can block it if a DPS happens to point their cone at the tank, for example. You might also be able to completely remove the need for a tank by just having a sage stand in the middle and just spam like your creation prognosis until the mechanic is over. Haitian says, raid this gunbreaker opener. Super polite. Provoke. Chat. A test of your reflexes. Remove super polite. Sit there. If you're aiming to die, 10 out of 10. Oh, there's Kasari. Are you having a little break in between your savage reclears? Gilano says, every time I play something else other than Bard, every 40 seconds I go, oh no, my dots! Oh. That sounds like a good case of like a good example of memory that would be really problematic for a healer. Like every 40 seconds you're like, my dot has been gone for like 10 seconds. By the way, did we lose Gilano? Shade says, I feel the bard dot thing with my dancer dances. That is actually a thing. Just a moment. But yeah, I was looking into this yesterday? Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Or maybe the day before. What's the day before? That on average, your 1-2 combo with like all the procs, all the bells and whistles as a dancer is like 10% weaker than standard step. Yeah, let me just... So, just asking, because Gilano brought it up, does anyone, like, that is here around the house, is there anyone else here that actually wanted to come along for 50, 60, 70, 80 dungeons? Like, anyone that was hoping for, like, a switch up so that maybe they could get a seat? It's okay to say that, if you want it. I have a feeling Coco's trying to tell me something. Gazel says, sadly I only have leveling and frontline. Yeah, I had a feeling that you wouldn't have 50, 60, 70, 80 yet. But we can switch around a bit. What's happening? What's happening? Like, Sip and Coco are like a living, like, Sunday morning cartoon. They're like Tom and Jerry. That is actually true. It would be even more perfect if Coco was like a Mikote or a Hrothgar. Coco and Sid. That, yeah, exactly. That does actually kind of sound like a cartoon, and I feel like we get Tamtara Deepcroft all the time. Is it just me? Is there something to that? That is maybe a little bit early on the on the fizzes there, Coco, but okay. As long as you know what you're doing. You have a lot of Ryuhori to use here anyway. That's probably fine. It's probably fine. Maybe it was a misclick. Maybe it's worth a video. Maybe what is worth a video? Oh, always getting Tamtara Deepcroft? I think that is just a personal thing. And unless do you all also get Tamtara Deepcroft all the time? Lemon also gets Tamtara Heart a lot. Oh, that is really strange. Why would that be? Why would that be? Hmm. Packle fan. Yeah, I do believe it's a apostrophe after the TH. It's really strange. Oh, right. Remember on this boss, use the spread marker, like stand on the zombies with the spread marker. And don't attack them. Do not cleave. Do not cleave. No cleave. Delay all AoE attacks. Do not cleave. Because if you attack with any AoE attack, that happens. Who couldn't wait? Who was it? What happened? Was that Flemmer? Gogo, that was why I said wait. I'm just imagining Coco with like sweat, like building, like. But I really, really want to use Flammer though. That was so funny. It was so good. Like it was perfect. It was just like if you had waited like 1 second, it would have been fine. Good luck, Pasani. No one playing dance right now, right? Well, you know, Lemon, I looked at my party and thought, well, Sip doesn't have a reason to randomly do AoE. Shade doesn't have a reason to randomly do AoE. And then I remembered that that Coco has Flemmer, and that's when I started going, wait with using your AoE, hoping that I could avert disaster. But because there is the stream delay, by the time I had started saying that, there was a really good chance that Coco had already clicked. But somehow we didn't wipe. So, I mean, worth it? A what? Apparently there's a patrol here. Patrol here! Okay, then I will click it. So much loot. So much loot I can pass. Hazian says, yesterday I had gotten a leveling roulette as Sage and went into the Stone Vigil and my tank decided, you know what, I'm taking wall to wall very literally and pulled every single pack between bosses. You can do that, like if both the tank and the healer is like ready for it, then you can. But you both need to really like be ready for it. By the way, Coco, you can heal the guy in the middle. And you probably have to because Sip really went out of his way to make sure that there's like stuff on the floor. And I don't know if it can hurt him. Yeah, that's true, Gilano. They removed healable Estinian in the area. Actually, they reworked the entire fight. At least the intermission, they kind of reworked. That's true, Asian, but the old version, he was specifically there, and you actually sometimes, it's very rare, but sometimes you would wipe on that fight because Estinian, like standing way in the back of the room, just died from something. Didn't get enough heals. Hey, Woollyram, how are you doing? Hopping for a few minutes before work. Well, in that case, I hope you enjoy your work. Good thing Sip had the interrupt, because I spent all of that time going, where is it I have my interrupt on my bard again? Yeah, Stone Vigil is not easy. That is the thing, is like Stone Vigil is a great example of a dungeon where you really don't want to wall-to-wall pull. Like, that's why my advice is to like pull 2 packs at a time as like a default, and then like if you know you can take it, then go ahead, pull more, but 2 packs at a time is typically good. Like that, it's not too much, it's not too little. You don't get the awkward position where the DPS aren't sure what to do because they don't really want to use their cooldowns on 1 pack. And you don't have the tank that is like, I don't know if I need to use cooldowns on just 1 pack. I don't know if I need it. I also just realized that I forgot to use Limit Break on the big AoE pull before. Again. That leaves an opportunity for Shade to use melee Limit Break. If they want to. I don't know if it's time yet, but there will be an opportunity. There we go. Oh, feeling lucky. Yeah, the Stone Vigil is like, the packs are really surprisingly strong. They have weird mechanics, some of them. Like the packs themselves are somewhat strange. And you can pull like 5 packs at a time if you want to. Like genuine, you can pull like 5 packs at a time if you feel like it. And Orion is right there with the speed clip. No cleave. Like we need that with like an edit where the instant that everything explodes, we clip in like one of those like explosion clips, and like just a huge loud noise, just. Which one was the anti-tower? That's the one with the dolls at the end. Let's see, Lemon says, this dungeon creeps me out. but somehow it doesn't creep me out nearly as much as the Anti-Tau's final boss. So here's a funny story. One of the Shadowbringer's relic weapon quests, so one part in the Shadowbringer's relic weapons quest lines, I believe the quest requirement is either do the daily leveling roulette on the daily 6 times. Like, you need 6 of the material, and leveling roulette actually drops the material. Or do 6 level 60 dungeons. Now, which dungeon could mayhaps be the fastest level 60 dungeon to do? Well, me in Shadowbringers did not need to figure that out myself, because the instant you did this and this, it was just like, when that relic weapon quest was new, it was like wham, 5 groups doing anti-tower. I think you could do it in like 8 minutes. But some players would, unsurprisingly, actively choose not to do anti-tower because they got creeped out by the doll. The thing is that you could just, like, if you do that relic, like, nowadays, because there aren't groups actively doing anti-tower, like, it might be faster to do, like, I'm not going to queue, but you could do something like this, just, well, because we're a full group, but if we weren't a full party, you could just choose, like, 5, and go, well, I could do this, I could do, like, Bale's Wall, I could go for Silver Toll, Sokai is pretty fun. Great Gobal Hard, actually, that one is actually pretty hard. Maybe not that one. But just like pick 5 and just queue and see what you get. And that might be pretty effective. Right. On a more relevant note, the next one is leveling roulette. I'm just asking again. So I know Gazla has been standing here all this time and went out of their way to come here and everything and hang out. So I was wondering if there's anyone that does not mind sitting out the next one, so that we can mix up who's coming. Emir says, did you see my question? Which question? You said which one was the anti-tower, and I said the one with the dolls. Was it a different question? I'm thinking of buying an MMO mouse. What would you suggest? Oh, sorry. Corsair's pretty good. I have found that the mouse wheel is a little jank sometimes, but it is probably the most sturdy and reliably working MMO mouse I've had. But to be fair, on that account, I have only tried the Razer and the Corsair one. So there are others. I have a friend that thinks Trust is really good. So you can do that one as well. Hoshi says, what is an MMO mouse? Typically, you talk of an MMO mouse as one with... I can't get it closer because my setup. But you can see there's like 12 buttons here on the side, like a thumb grid, as we call it. Which means that, like, if you... As you can see, my hotbars, obviously... You don't see me, like, move my hand. Well, you don't see this hand, but I don't move my hand, like, 20 centimeters across the keyboard to press on 0, right? I don't do that. I just click it on the mouse. Just click on the mouse. Which is, like, I have just set it up the way I like it. I have the first row, so 1, 2, 3 actually matches up with 0, minus, plus over here. and 4, 5, 6 matches up with 7, 8, 9 here. But yeah, this can, if you're having a hard time with reaching buttons on your keyboard when playing an MMO, it can be incredibly helpful to do it like that. Oh, Ali's here. Yeah, I recommend, if you want an MMO mouse, I recommend the Corsair one. But as I said, criticism as it deserves, the mouse wheel can sometimes be a little dubious. Darius Raven says that they are using the G600. And that is also a good choice. Okay, there's a bunch of options. You can try different ones. Lemon says Kai is already popular enough to get bots and stream chat. No, that particular bot comes in like once a stream. Actually, like, back when I just started streaming, we sometimes had problems with like a bot coming in spamming not safe for work links. So that I said, like, I was sitting in the middle of a dungeon, like, oh, whoops, I just had to like kick or ban a bot while doing my rotation. Just I just weave ban bot as my OGCD. But that doesn't happen as much anymore for some reason. But yeah, you might not need an MMO mouse. But, and I know some people do that, they watch my guides and they copy my hotbars. You can do that, but just keep in mind that it's not going to work if you don't use an MMO mouse and you use my keybinds. Like, that's not going to work because I don't even use the keybinds. Like, that, it's fake. It's smoke and mirrors. It's all theatrics. I don't actually use them. True thrust, wobble thrust, weave, ban, bot, and disembowel. Well, just weave, ban, bot, I suppose. Exactly, you don't weave, disembowel. Ymir says, I've copied all of your layouts. Oh. Well, as long as the keybinds work for you. Guys who uses voice activation. I'm just sitting, like when I'm making my videos, I'm just sitting like 0, minus, shift 0, 1, 5, shift 1. That would be pretty good. Right. Can you beat Final Fantasy XIV with only your voice? The answer is probably yes. I think the one thing where you would have a problem, like if you have a voice activation system where you can actually make your computer click the buttons as needed, you can. The one fight where I think you might need to, you might need to have a specific, like, voice command for button mash, because while there are a bunch of fights where there's like the active time menu where you have to mash buttons on your keyboard, most of them, if you fail it, you just die. It's okay, right? But the Seed of Sacrifice one, you have to do it. You have to make it. So you have to make sure that your button mash with your voice is fast enough. Otherwise, it's not going to work. But other than that, Final Fantasy XIV is to the point that when like World of Warcraft hardcore became like really popular, I feel like there was a bunch of people that went, could you do like hardcore Final Fantasy 14? And then kind of went, it wouldn't be that difficult. Like, it wouldn't be that scary. Like, honestly, outside of like normal raids, which are optional, or like difficult trials, most content you can beat without ever dying. Like, it's almost surprising when you're in one of the main cities and you see someone do like the race like animation because they died out in the wild. Like, that doesn't really happen, right? Beat every game with your brain. True. And remember, you don't eat with your hands, you eat with your mouth. Citation, my dad. Thank you. Let's see, Darius Raymond says, I use all of my key modifiers, and so I had to reassign my chat keybinds that are default to some really strange combinations because I was opening my chat window while fighting because of my control key. Yeah, a particularly bad one is, I believe one of the default keybinds is Alt-S opens say chat or something like that. That one might be bad. Alt-A might open Alliance raid. Like, some of them I don't mind, like F and P for like free community party are not bad. But I can see why that would be a problem. Darius Raven says, I just really started playing Final Fantasy 14 after 15 years of healing in WoW. Thank you for your content. It's helped me catch on to everything. I'm really glad to hear that. I, in fact, also played World of Warcraft for 15 years. However, I was a tank main. So welcome. It is a lot different. It is a little different to heal in Final Fantasy 14. Right. Emil says, are you low on ether? You know, I think my throat needs some water aspected ether. Let me just try this. Yes, that helped. That helped. Right. Let us see if we can do the leveling roulette. Then we have some 8-man plus content to do where everyone here can come along if they want, instead of me having to like leave people out. I think that is the best we can do. Guess what? I forgot to set it to limited. It's fine. I don't think we can abandon, right? You know what? Sip has a point. We would have gotten Aurum Vale if you set it to limited. We probably would. Also, there's something comedic about the fact that we got Tamtara Deepcroft again. I have AoE! Bow before me, DPS player who does not have AoE, Coco! I have AoE! Lemon is going to absorb some spaghetti-shaped ether. Nice. Wait, how much damage does that do? 325? I believe it's 325. A lot better on 3 targets. And Sip mentions Scholar's best healer for these. It is. Scholar is so busted in this level range that they can solo Tamtara Deepcroft quite easily. In my experience, like if you get was it Haitian that said they had a run as Sage where their tank in Stone Vigil went, well, all the guides tell me to pull wall to wall, so I will pull everything. All the guides except mine. If you have a tank like that, in like something as simple as Sastasha, alright, Woolly Ram, enjoy work. Then, if your healer is Scholar, and only if your healer is Scholar, then you can often survive it anyway. Simply because Scholar is so insane in low level, and the reason why Sage can't do it is because Sage does not get pet heals. And if your tank is pulling like a crazy person, you'll have to spam Diagnosis to make it work. And so the Scholar just spamming Physic is just better, because they can do that while their pet is spam healing as well. My recommendation, Lemon, if you don't feel super confident in your ability as Scholar, is to like manually queue for some lower level dungeons. Not for the experience, like literal experience, but for your experience, like for you to get better at the job. And just queue for Sastasha, queue for Bravelock's Longstop, queue for Aurum Vale, or something. Like, so you gradually get acquainted with the toolkit. Aurum Vale is like cursed. I feel like the first like 2 or 3 streams where Coco joined me for any content at all, we always got Aurum Vale in leveling roulette. And specifically every time Coco was along. Like, I don't know if Coco's been like cursed by some sort of Aurum Vale demon or what's going on, but it just always happens. Whoop. Oh, don't you love it when there's like ranged ads? Personally, I actually like Aurum Vale, but I've said that before, and usually I'm very much not very popular when I say that. But I do like Aurum Vale. I think it's an interesting dungeon. It expects a lot of like old school tricks of you. Darius might, as a newer player of Final Fantasy XIV, be a little bit surprised to hear this from someone playing World of Warcraft, but you are at a huge advantage in a dungeon like Aurum Vale if you know how to do a line of sight pull, which a lot of tanks don't know how to do because it's not required in most dungeons these days. Hoshi says, I leveled Sage one day and we ended up in Zodiac. That is a bad time. And yeah, that is also a good example, Hoshi said. I once was a bit tired, but once I leveled Dark Knight. So I queued for leveling and thought maybe I have luck and get a simple dungeon. And then you get Aurum Vale. That was what I was talking about earlier when Umia mentioned that they did not enjoy doing Dunscaid. I said, oh, don't worry. You don't have to queue for... You will not have to deal with queuing for Dunscaid ever again now that you've done it. It will show up in Alliance Raid Roulette one day where you're really tired. Don't you worry about it. It'll come up when you least want to see it. whether you wanted to or not. One imp! Aha! I interrupted his water! Oh. I'll just use water again. Wait a minute. Coco, did you use trick attack? Wait, oh no, wait, that was Mug. Sorry, I had a little bit of a problem with the whole... for some reason, every time I think about ninja things, for some reason, my brain just jumps back into Shadowbringers. Like, I still mess up the thing that mudras aren't actually OGCDs anymore. For some reason. One imp! How is that possible, Ymir? One imp! Two imp! And then there's the final bit of the fight where it's 3 imp! Right, now everyone that wants to come along, we're doing trial roulette next. Oh boy. I don't queue specifically for Aurum Vale, but I don't mind it. Like, I genuinely don't mind it when it pops up. I'll just invite people who are here. We have space. We have so much space now. Tanking an alliance raids is really awkward. Just in general, it's really awkward. Because you have like. Let me just underline this. You've done trials. You've had a co-tank. You might even have used cooldowns to help your co-tank. Some of your cooldowns you can specifically use on your co-tank. You've done normal raids, maybe even. Probably not, if you're going into Crystal Tower. But when you go into Crystal Tower, you have 2 co-tanks. But there's the big bot, like a huge bot, just... In Alliance raids, the cooldowns that are supposed to be used on your co-tank, you don't have them at level 50, but if you have them in an Alliance raid, they don't work on your co-tanks. They don't work on your co-tanks. You cannot use them on your co-tanks. For some reason... So like, all of the stuff you've learned just becomes, oh, no, we don't do that here when you go into an Alliance raid. It's quite annoying, that. Right, and Gasol jumped out because they don't have any other roulettes. They have frontline, but we might not even get to that. We have the spots that we have. If there's anyone in the group that wants to tank, you can. If you want to heal, you can. If you want to DPS, you can. Then we'll see what we do. Like, then we'll see what we, like, if we end up with a group that doesn't work super well, then that's that. Raziel. Hey Raziel, it's been a while. Is this the train for trial roulette? It is in fact a train for trial roulette. Do you want to come, Raziel? And Orion is coming as well. Oh boy. Well, then I'll wait a moment. Then we'll see what we have. Coco says, let me in, coach. Level 22 gladiator. The Dunskate, I feel like that's the one that usually, like, I want to point out, if you saw my Crystal Tower video somewhat recently, I queued for Alliance Roulette and genuinely got a Crystal Tower raid. Like, I didn't fake the transition where I zoned into a Crystal Tower, even though I could probably easily have done that. I queued for Dunskate and Ivalice raids and Nia raids, and I got Dunskate. Well, I got a Void Arc or Shadow of Ma raid series stuff, and when I then queued for just the Ivalice and the Nia ones, I literally could not get it to pop. Like, I sat there for 30 minutes and went, okay, I don't have that kind of time. Raziel says, both me and my log were about to do trial and normal raid before bed. Would you mind us joining in for trial? That's fine. We're doing both. I think... well, that actually means that we would be 9 if Orion is here as well. But yeah, you can. Oh. Now we're 8 again. Is the audio weird? Hello? Oh, okay. Maybe try refresh the stream, Coco. Oh, Ryan, we can... Gilano, I think, sat out. Do you have trial roulette on that character? Oh, wow. Coco says it's me being it. Did you mute the stream? Did you mute the stream? That is really, that is kind of funny. Titan? Powder Nova Dweller, Titan. Juro says, question, how can I go about gearing a spell speed black mage in Bozja? You can't. The instant you enter Bozja, your stats get normalized. The only options you have is that some of the gear pieces... Oh boy. Some of the gear pieces will, like from Bozja itself, will give you some haste, which is basically speed. but you can't actually do anything about your spell speed in Boja. What I do recommend though, and this is like really weird, but trust me on this, if you wear a like level 50 one-handed Black Mage weapon and then a shield, I know it sounds ridiculous, but because your stats get normalized, it means that shields on Black Mage will have like the same-ish block chance as a Paladin shield, something like that. And they will block similar amounts, possibly, I'm not entirely sure on that. But the stat difference between like your damage output, whether you're using a two-handed staff or a one-handed staff, is going to be like less than 1% damage. You're doing less, but you're going to be taking way less damage just from wearing the shield. It sounds ridiculous, but if you're going to Boja, I do recommend doing that. It's really a weird optimization trick, but it does work. And Genano says, some Logos actions will also affect your speed. That is true. Some of the lost actions can have an effect on your spell speed. And if you want, like, if you're playing Black Mage in Boja, if you can get the, I believe it's called Flare Star? I think it's called Flare Star. Or something like that. It costs like 9,000 MP to cast, but given that you're a Black Mage, if you just make sure to be in ice mode before you cast it, it doesn't matter. And the Flare Star deals like an absolutely stupid amount of damage, like an actually obscene amount of damage, if you just use it. Lost Flare Star, that's right. It is so strong. The only downside to it is that it does not stack, and it's technically a dot. And what I mean by it does not stack is, if you're in like Delubrum Regine and you have 24 players, if there's more than one person that brought Lost Flare Star, only one person can actually use Lost Flare Star. No! No! I don't want to be a rock! Ah. I am rock. I was forced to bow down under the rock. My uptime. Yeah. And I had someone actually used the Suna on the damage down. Like, incredible. Jiro says, so the materia slots and Lost Order gear don't matter. Basically, they only matter insofar that if you use the Lost Order gear elsewhere, then the materia slots matter. But the only thing that matters is what's it called? The haste buff that is on some of the gear. That is the only thing that matters. And then whether you're using one or two weapons. For Black Mage and for Black Mage and White Mage, they're the only ones that get this choice. They're the only jobs that get this choice. They can choose to use a two-hander or a one-handed and a shield. It's pretty funny. Alright, Orion does not have normal rates. We can rearrange. We have some that wanted to come specifically for normal rates and trials, so it's fine. Gilano, do you want to come in again? Do you want to join again? It's okay if you don't want to. It's also okay if you do want to. So, normal rates. There's nothing to be afraid of with what we get, Mali. The worst that can happen is we wipe. that is the worst thing that can happen, is that we wipe. Was there something? Oh, never mind. Yeah, I do understand, Emia, why you don't like Alliance Raid that much. I do understand that. I just remember Lubricante. Lubricante, that is really good. Not that is the that is his slightly his brother that ended up in a very different type of work, you could say. I don't know if that was an accidental, like if that was a typo, if you, or if you intended to say that. But that was hilariously good. Just not even flinching, just going, yeah. The only trial I really remember is Lubricante. Yeah, Lubricante, you know. Yeah, the fire guy. You know the one. I'm wondering if I should rearrange which emotes we have to make better use of the slots that we have. So that we can have Kai Blush, but I don't know what to sacrifice. Whee! And that's why you wear shorts. Sacrifice a Lalafell. I mean, if that was an option, like we actually could sacrifice like Broken Bolt, like Broken Night Bolt. That is technically sacrificing a Lalafell, I guess. You got quarantined! No! My only weakness! Being pulled away from the boss, so I lose uptime! My uptime! My damage! Ow. Ow. My uptime! 2! You know what the fastest way to lose uptime is? Getting hit by multiple mechanics at once and dying. And you know what also is bad for your uptime? Letting your debuffs drop. Letting your dots drop. You know what's also bad for your uptime? When you have no healers alive. So, what happens? Now, some of you might have done this trial before and wondered, why is it both of the healers always die? The reason is that, like, really late in the fight, I'm pretty sure it's always put on the two healers if they're both alive. One of them gets, like, a red debuff and one of them gets a blue debuff. And... oh, I got the loot. Excellent. I always wanted it. But... The tooltip for the debuff is so long that if you actually sit down to read it, you will be dead by the time you understand what the tooltip actually says. What I understood of the mechanic is if the two healers actually touch each other, like if they maybe kiss, then they both die if they have the debuffs. So if the two healers are like safely standing near each other, protecting each other and keeping each other alive, then they die when that mechanic begins. It's pretty funny. Yeah, no, it wasn't your fault, Mally. It's literally a mechanic that targets the healers, and they just, like, if they're already stacked when the mechanic occurs, I'm pretty sure it just goes dead. And you don't get to even react. Let's see. Believe it's Raziel, that's Rajito Maedamui, right? Says it's a dot that shares the players touching you, and you have both, you die instantly. Yep, that sounds right. Because I do remember, like, the part that I read, like, I managed to read whenever I actually read the tooltip is it shares the people that you touch, but I never get to the part where it says that you die if you get the other debuff. It's pretty funny how that ends up. What if we kissed during Manipulator while we're debuffed? Just kidding. Emia says, do you think the next jobs will use the second arm slot? No. No, I don't think they will. My proof carefully shoves forward Ninja, who technically uses 2 weapons. But it's a single slot. Pushes forward Dancer, who technically uses 2 weapons. But it's 1 slot. Red Mage, who technically uses 2 weapons. Oh, someone's firing fireworks. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Yep, but Paladin is actually a carryover from 1.0. It is the only job that uses both arms. And I don't know why they let it keep it. For some reason, they've also left all of the one-handed, two-handed... I think the reason, I'm pretty sure the reason why black mages and white mages get to keep their one-handed weapons around is because... What was it someone said the other day? There is a Mog Store item that is a one-handed wand that does not glam on two-handed staves. So you wouldn't be able to use it on any new gear. But you can buy it for real money if you want to. Could you imagine if they removed all of the one-handed wands in the game so you couldn't even use it? All of those refunds! And they are also true limit. Actually, I think a lot of machinists would appreciate if they had 2 weapons, because the Ethereal Transformer on their hip is like static. A lot of players would, I have heard, said, "What if we could just dye it? Imagine if you could dye it, right?" Hey, thank you, Raziel, and your loved one. Ryuwei, Mighty Mo. Thank you both for coming along for some trials. And for a trial and a normal raid. It's always nice to see you. Genuinely. Thank you for coming in. Hanging out. Senti for free says, I believe it dies with your gun. That is true. The Ethereal Transformer and I think the card case do die with your weapon. I think the thing is that some people might have a gun that is one color and they want their Ethereal Transformer to be a different color. But they can't do that. And similarly, I believe some red mages would be like, oh, that's a really cool rapier, but the focus kind of sucks. Or vice versa. And they wish they could like mix and match it. One of the primary reasons why paladins get to keep the sword and the shield separately is specifically so for glam reasons. Because like they release a sword and a shield alongside each other every time. 100% of the time they will always release them together, and nowadays they drop together like in a pack, so you can open it and there's your booster pack of sword and shield instead of just having them drop one at a time. So like they've really specified and made sure that paladins still have their glam, but the other jobs that never had it don't get like grandfathered into the system in any way. I'm just inviting you in case you have Alliance Raid, Orion. If you don't have it, then you of course can't come along. Oh, Orion, is that the one for doing a lot of paladin stuff? The ethereal glam former. But that is the thing. I think genuinely that a lot of players would appreciate, like, it doesn't have to have stats. They just want to be able to, like, glamour the second part of their outfit. Like, they're just saying, this is technically a secondary arm. Right here. Like, this thing that appeared on my back when I pulled my bow. Seti for free says, do we have some guesses for the new jobs in 7.0? My guess is that it's going to be a mage DPS, and a ranged physical DPS. My hope is, one, the ranged physical DPS is going to share armor with the ninja. And either the ranged physical or the mage, I don't care which one, but I hope one of them is like dot-centric. I don't care how they do it, I just want... they removed the dot job. The summoner dot job, they removed that, and no, all of the remaining dot jobs don't count. They don't count. Because I say so. But having a significant portion of the damage coming from dots don't count, because they're just fire and forget. You would, like, they don't serve any purpose in the rotation aside from they do damage. I want a dot job that apply the dots boost because they do damage, but oh, actually they do procs and stuff. Like, they're part of your rotation. Coco says, do my dots mean nothing to you? I mean, Goring Blade's dot meant nothing to Square Enix. We have a hot job, but not a dot job. That is also a good point, Hoshi. Being able to mirror hairstyles would be nice. You know, one thing that I rarely pay much attention to is that if I mirror Kai in a thumbnail or something, you will immediately notice it because her hair is wrong. Like, it points the wrong way. I have some thumbnails where I've done it, and if you check my thumbnails like side by side, you will immediately go, wait a minute, that one is mirrored. You don't even need to look at the pose to go, wait, that shield is in the right hand. You just look at the hair and go, that's wrong. And that is actually also consistent on all the emotes that we have. All of them that features Kai, the small dragon, has the hair pointing this way correctly. Seti for free says, I would love a shaman as a new dot job. I genuinely would like to have a job that is focused on dots, exactly. Lemon says, evil Kaitsu, but the hair is literally the only difference between her and normal Kaitsu. It's not even like black hair and red eyes, and like slightly paler, and actually evil Kai only wears black. That's how you know she's evil. No. Looks exactly like Kai normally does. Her hair is just mirrored. Which one's the real one? Which one is the good one? Which one is the evil one? Just look at the hair. Coco? Wait a second. His hair is mirrored. What have you done with Kai? That's true, Ryan. It's probably going to be Crystal Tower with a level 50-ish in the group. Ymir says, I think a job that uses potions would be cool. I think so too. I feel like, didn't I write, like, I think it was in the classroom on Discord? Or was it in general? I'm pretty sure that I wrote, like, a whole, like, idea for, like, a chemist-style job. As a healer. An alchemist lemon. You're talking to Lemon. I'm sorry. Hey Nick, how are you doing? We're about to do Alliance raid roulette. We're just having a little bit of a discussion of who's going to play what. And also, yeah, the sky, actually in my case, it's just like a white ceiling. Well, Mally, your character does look good as a paladin. And don't worry, that outfit really works well for your character. Well, we're probably getting Crystal Tower. Playing on console. I am playing on a PC. I am playing on a PC. I think Mally's Dark Knight Sword is the level 60 relic. Nick says my bards only. So we just have this. I just have this tradition that we do a stream every so often, where we do dailies. And to put a twist on that, I play a specific job for that stream. On top of this, this also works as a piece of extra, like, as you may or may not know, I have guides for basically all jobs in Final Fantasy XIV, and these duty roulette streams serve as like some actual, like, real footage of how the job is played in reality, which often helps with like setting expectations. Like, if you just watched a guide where you see me go, oh, the perfectly optimal rotation is to do exactly this, and then I go, oh, and in like for your general rotation, do this and this and this. Like, here are some tips on what to do. And then you go, I can't really picture that. And then you see, oh, I actually made a stream specifically where I showcase how I play the job. And then you see that I did a bunch of content with the job. So you can see, oh, he's not actually doing that opener he said you should do, and it's fine. Like, he's still doing good damage, it's fine. And here he's doing something completely different because he messed up the rotation. That's also fine. You see how the job actually plays in reality, that you don't have to be perfect. And sometimes just seeing it play out for real can help some players. So like that, plus the entertainment value of some people that enjoy these streams. But once I have one for every job, we might just do dailies with no specific restriction. But in my opinion, it's actually surprisingly difficult. Because I find that you end up looking a lot at your bars. You need a lot of practice with bars to get that right. Well, I hope we're ready now. Dude. That's true, Nick. Kloop says, have you done a samurai one of these? Yes, I have. I believe that one has a thumbnail that says whoopsie all samurai, because that's a little bit of a like joke on the channel. The whoopsie. Jesse D says, what is the bard level requirement to hang out? Oh, you don't even have to have a bard to hang out. It's just me who has to play bard. But you can hang out. Then says, bard really says, your rotation centers around one button. And it's true. And then they add 87 other buttons. That is actually a very good point. I don't know what is with the marker. I think Sip put it on me. How did... Nick says, did you play Bard back in Stormblood when it was called Bowmage? I'm pretty sure Bowmage was Shadowbreak... No, what am I talking about? Heavensward specifically. The reason why it was called Bowmage was because it needed to use Wanderer's Minuet, which back then added a cast time to all of your attacks, which made it have cast times. This was in Heavensward, and it was actually removed in Stormblood, where Wanderer's Minuet was reworked to the pitch perfect thing that we have now. And I started in Stormblood, so no, I never got to play Bowmage. I have heard that it was very unpopular. That is why that was actually a... I made a video on the history of Bard. And I did include how much people loved to have cast time of all of their buttons. What is going on with all these markers? What's happening? Kloops asks, do you have a favorite job or main? I play warrior a lot. But I do have like a favorite in every role. I really like to play sage. But I also really like scholar actually, so that one's a little bit difficult. But warrior is probably my main. And part of the reason for that is that warrior is not super intense to play. So it's relatively easy to play it well. And because I play a lot of jobs like on a daily basis on account of making videos and guides, I don't invest as much time in like my main as other players might. So having a main that has a slightly lower skill requirement to play decently helps me a lot. Do we have anyone that's frozen? Someone just froze there. There's nothing bad about a job being low intensity, Nick. There's nothing wrong with that. The good thing about it is that it means that you have more space to be better at dealing with your rotation on a in a like general sense. Emir says, I've decided to try PvP. What job would you suggest out of machinist, summoner, or gunbreaker? If you are going to try PvP, summoner. If you're going to go in frontline, especially summoner. If you're going into crystalline conflict, I think, and this, like, of those 3 options, I think all 3 are really, really, really hard in crystalline conflict as like a new player in PvP. In frontline, summoner is very good because you can hide behind the rest of the army of players if you need it. But both machinist and gunbreaker are a lot harder because they have weird oddities, each of them. That might make it hard. But in crystalline conflict, summoner is like, it's really squishy. So, and because your limit break halts, like just stops early if you're killed, means that you need to know how to survive. And that can be really difficult if you're new to PvP, right? Alright, Nick. Thank you for checking in. So, summoner can be surprisingly difficult to learn in in crystalline conflict. Machinist has a simpler rotation, but bow mage. And then Bioblaster requires you to come in repeatedly for attacks sometimes. And Gunbreaker, while super flexible, requires you to like know what you need because your Drawn Junction ability like changes based on like what role you used it on, which can make it difficult. What would be a good starter for PvP? I would say that for frontline, I do think summoner's fine. I want to be clear that if you're trying frontline, Emir, then summoner's perfectly fine. For crystalline conflict, I think a job like Dragoon, even though its toolkit is a little wild, the fact that just clicking buttons sort of just works. Like you just face plant on your keyboard and it kind of works, is very nice. It's not perfect, but most of your buttons are good on Dragoon. Like the big thing is using Geiskagul first and Nastrond last. Emir says, which one drops wolf marks? Both of them drops wolf marks. If you just want some wolf marks, just do the daily frontline. Nothing else. It gives you quite a lot of wolf marks. If I remember correctly, a win in crystalline conflict gives 500 wolf marks and a loss gives 250. Meanwhile, frontline gives like 1,500 for the daily or something crazy like that. So like if you just want some wolf marks, just do that. Coco, you do not want to hear how a Dane says Geiskagul. Yeah, or Geiskagul. I'm intentionally choosing to say Geiskagul because it doesn't sound as terrible. We actually had this talk previously. It's just been months. Yeah, if you're just doing frontline in here, then try summoner. In fact, most of the a large amount of jobs are a lot easier to try in frontline. Honestly, it's just some jobs are a little brutal. Like machinist and gunbreaker are genuinely, they're kind of hard. Like that is the funny thing, is that both of those jobs are on the harder side. Kwasabi, I'm pretty sure it's Gaiskugul with like the sound. Gaiskugul. It's Norse stuff. And then if I remember correctly, Icelandic is the one that is closest to OG Norse. So that is why Coco's over here being smug about it. Here's an interesting tip, Ymir. Because of how incredibly... What is going on with all these markers? Because of the way that PvP completely alters how certain jobs work, you might find that your main is not... does not play the way that you like it in PvP. So you might actually benefit from choosing a different job as your main in PvP. Just for the sake of example, Red Mage is more akin to a melee assassin in PvP, whereas in PvE it's not, of course. Ninja is actually really weirdly closer to a ranged DPS in PvP, because of all the ranged attacks it has at its arsenal. You just come in for the kill, if anything. So you might want to like try something different for PvP. You don't have to stick to your mains. You hate playing Astrologian. I think Astrologian is one of the hardest jobs to play well in PvP. So maybe not that one. And it's really awkward in frontline because your raid buffs only work on your party, and in frontline you might not actually be with your party. But my recommendation, Ymir, like, is if you're not sure what you want to play, is as the toolkit is completely different in PvP, like, take any job you have the soul crystal, like the job crystal for, and like go into Wolf's Den Pierre, you know, the PvP area, and look at the PvP profile thing and see what actions you have. And see, like, can you figure out how the job is supposed to be played? And maybe try it. And see how it goes. Like, there are striking dummies to practice on. Like, my advice is generally... read the toolkit of the PvP job. Compared to PvE jobs, your toolkit is way shorter. Like, there's not that many buttons, so like it takes you like a couple minutes usually to see like what is this job about. See if you can figure it out, and then see if you can figure out how to use the limit break, because in PvP you're supposed to use your limit break a lot. Like, optimally, you want to use your limit break whenever you have it. Like, if you can find a good reason to... Oh, that person's dead. If you can find a good reason to use your limit break exactly on cooldown, that is optimal. Like, that is the case with everything. If you can find a good reason to use your cooldowns on cooldown, that is a good thing. But if you're looking at a job and going, I don't know when I'm supposed to use the limit break. So, like, if you were to go in a frontline or a crystalline conflict, the limit break kind of just sits there, then you're doing something wrong. And then maybe try a different, like, either try a different approach or try a different job. This was something that I had a lot of trouble with Scholar originally. I looked at it and was like, I cannot imagine any situation where I know that I need Seraph when I actually need Seraph. Usually I will remember that I have Seraph as an option too late. So the best way you can go about it as Scholar is to go, well, when I use Seraph, I get the Expedient buff, which makes my next dot placement stronger. So if I just focus on that, go, I would like a bigger dot right now. So I will use my limit break and just dump Seraph somewhere. Often Seraph ends up being good, because the dot itself triggers an engagement or something. But I had to like rearrange how I looked at the Scholar limit break to reach that conclusion. And that was because I went in with, well, I'm not using my limit break very much. And I should be. So to resolve that, I need to figure out a reason to use limit break more. How do I do that? Well, there's an offensive attribute to the limit break, so let's just use it for that, and only that. But it is difficult to figure out like what PvP, like what job you'd want to play in PvP, because usually your starting point is, well, I like this job in PvE, so I'll play that. But I myself basically spent hours in the Wolf's Den Pier just practicing and testing out jobs before I landed on Red Mage and went, this is pretty cool. And it turned out Red Mage was pretty cool, because the following patch, Red Mage got nerfed hard. The patch after that, Red Mage got nerfed. And the patch after that, Red Mage got nerfed. I think Red Mage didn't get nerfed in 6.4. I'm pretty sure they didn't get nerfed in 6.4. But this silence used to be 4 seconds, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure it was 4. Might have been just 3. And I'm pretty sure that the dot from the melee combo used to be 4,000 potency per tick. And then it was reduced to 3,000. Like, Red Mage got really, really nerfed. But it's understandable, because Red Mage was quite overwhelming to play against. I think we are done with roulettes. Castle says Red Mage feels too slow in PvP. I don't know what you mean by that. The way Red Mage is supposed to be played in PvP is as an assassin. There aren't very many tricks. There aren't that many tricks you can do, but if you're playing Red Mage optimally, you're starting your melee combos like on cooldown. Again, not gonna happen in a real fight. You have to look for the opportunities. And the main the main like mix-ups you can do is because of the black and white shift feature. Many of your attacks have a secondary like use case. Like, if you're not being focused, you're using black shift melee combo to kill the enemy's squishies, you just go for that black mage. And the black mage is actually really bad at dealing with someone in their face. They have a thunder, well, burst, I believe it's called. And then they can run really well. But the red mage is really good at chasing, so You do that melee combo, and if no one is stopping you, that black mage is probably dead. But if you're being focused, and you probably are, if the opposing team is good, then you use white shift melee combo, and suddenly it's a defensive. And let me just say, it has been a while. It has been a while since I played Red Mage a lot. But in Season 1, like after the rework, let me just find it. In Season 1, I did place in Crystal tier, right? In Crystal rank. With basically only using Red Mage. Like, exclusively only using Red Mage. And I had like a complete stop, like a complete plateau where I could not gain rank. Like, every time I won one, I lost one. And if I won two, I lost two. And if I won three, so I got on a streak, I'd lose four. And go back down. Like, I could not rank up at like somewhere around Diamond. And the thing that I ran into was I reached the players that knew that they had to actually switch and kill the Red Mage. Like, the players that just focus the Red Mage. Like, every time the Red Mage goes in, they just switch targets, stun the Red Mage, dead. And I hadn't had to deal with that before. So I wasn't very good at using white shift. Like, I didn't need to do that. I would silence with resolution on the way in, switch to black shift, maybe I would use magic barrier and white shift and then go black shift and go in, but usually my melee combo came out in black shift, and if I did that on an enemy team that knew what they were doing, then I immediately died. Like, they just go, oh, there's just a lone red mage. So there's a lot of complexity. And a lot of things to consider. In frontline, in my opinion, Red Mage is terribly bad in frontline. Because Red Mage's limit break is nice. Like, it's good AoE damage, kind of big. You can hit a lot of things. It also heals, which can be good for your team. But for most of your AoE damage, you have to go in and do a melee combo first. And Red Mage, I believe, has 48,000 HP in PvP. Let me just actually... Well, we could teleport there. We could also just hang out here. That's probably also fine. I'm pretty sure you have like 48 or 49,000 HP as Red Mage. So if you go in like you're a melee DPS, you probably just die. Like, in frontline, there is a hidden damage reduction modifier that I don't think is anywhere in game. You just have to know it from the patch notes. But all melee jobs, so genuine melee jobs, that does not mean Red Mage, have just a built-in 50% damage reduction in frontline. Like, all damage on them is reduced by 50%. Also, thank you to everyone that joined for Roulette. Sorry, I just saw some people hop out. Thank you for coming along. Meanwhile, all ranged DPS have a 25% damage reduction. So that means Machinist, Bard, Summoner, Black Mage, all healers. But Dancer and Red Mage, for some reason, have a 35% damage reduction modifier. Because they both need to go into melee range for a lot of things. So they just aren't functional if they just get smoked the instant they get in close. But the simple fact that Red Mage needs that extra damage reduction says a lot about their problems in frontline. And just for the sake of extra detail, I normally play like Black Mage, Scholar, Summoner, like hyper AoE jobs if I'm doing daily frontline on my own. Because it's really, really easy to do that. You just drop your AoE attacks into the crowd of people, and something probably dies, or maybe you get a little bit of battle high from an assist. It's way easier. Meanwhile, Red Mage has to like run in, go for someone, and then they can, you know, drop an AoE bomb on some people. If they survive that long. As someone who has played Black Mage, it is really scary when the Red Mage runs up in your face. I will say that. But also as the Black Mage, my reaction is turning my camera and going, oh, there's a party member over there, and just teleport to them. And I can do that 2 times. And the Red Mage can only chase me 2 times. And they use the first one to get to me in the first place. So it becomes complicated. But yeah, my advice... Oh, I see Emir says good night. I hope I still can say good night, Emir. Thank you for hanging out. But yeah, if anyone in the chat is interested in getting into PvP and you think it's a little scary, unlock Wolf's Den Pierre. Go there. And then you open this menu. Look at what skills you have. This is everything. This is all you have. Just this menu. Like, you switch job and this menu changes. This is your entire toolkit. Just this. There's no role actions or trades menu. It's just this. And just figure out, can you understand the toolkit? And then practice on a striking dummy. And don't feel like you have to use your main. There's a good chance your main plays differently. There's a good chance your main plays differently in PvP. And many jobs do. Like, Dark Knight actually spends HP to attack in PvP. Gunbreaker has the drawn junction from Final Fantasy. Like, they have this junction mechanic that is reminiscent, mildly reminiscent from Final Fantasy VIII, I've been told. Machinist's tools actually, like, instead of you having access to all of them, you use one and you're given the next one in order. So you have to get acquainted with all of them. Like, all of the jobs are aesthetically and, like, design-wise extremely cool, different takes on the jobs. But that also means some of them are completely different. Like, Warrior is a good example of a job that is mostly similar to how they are in PvE. The difference is that you can actually hurt yourself. You know, like a berserker. You can hurt yourself. And Paladin is almost a healer. Almost a healer. It's actually pretty insane how much healing a Paladin can do over the course of a frontline match. And they're the only ones that, like, they're the only tank that can really tank. Because you can intercept damage, which all of the other tanks cannot. And then Paladin just heals so much that they can be really difficult to kill, as long as they have something to attack. It's pretty funny. But yeah. Do try PvP. If you don't know where to begin, you can also... I actually have, similar to the Oops All Job daily roulette streams, I used to actually make, like, PvP streams where we only played one job. And I think, like, I have, like, if you're wondering why the emote with Small Kai with the glaring eyes called the Whoopsie, it originated from the Samurai stream of that series. The Samurai Frontline stream. The Samurai Limit Break is in this channel is known as the Whoopsie. It's not the Santetsuken, it's just the Whoopsie. It's pretty funny how that happens. And Coco actually has a good point. A huge amount of the players in frontline are there for a similar reason to you, possibly. Like this. Which means that many of them might not be very good. So there might be very little to be afraid of. Also, we have a little nap time here. In other news, I'm actually surprised we got through the daily roulettes. Did I forget a roulette or something? I'm pretty sure we got through what we normally go through. Yeah. I feel like we're done early. And I don't feel like we were rushing. We spent quite a lot of time just hanging out in between roulettes. The Zip says, because you had me. And as Natsu says, he zips around. Orion, are you asking how do you play the new Seal Rock? What do you mean, Shatter? What do you mean, Orion? Do you mean Shatter? When there are ice cubes near your base, attack them. Yoink those points. They're basically free. Other than that, just try to follow the herd. A lot of people are very dissatisfied with Shatter. Because by design, the best you can do in Shatter is not engage the enemy. Because you need to attack the ice cubes. It's very awkward. I'm not entirely sure what advice to give you. But the one that seems to be pretty reliable is if there are cubes near your base, kill them. Like a free 50 points. I haven't done it much. Like, honestly, whenever it's Shatter Day, like daily frontline is Shatter, I'm like considering just skipping frontline. I'm in the group that do not like the new Shatter. So it's hard to explain what went wrong. Exactly, says he. Today is Shatter Day. The old Shatter, you had a point to protect on for each base. That didn't add much, but it meant that everyone had like passive income. And all of the ice cubes on the map like were once. Like each of them would only spawn once, but they would give enough points over the course of a match that by the time the final cubes were broken, the match was over. Now you need more points than the cubes can give you, but the cubes respawn. Like the cubes will respawn repeatedly, which means that you can just camp in your, like hypothetically, one team could just turtle in their base and just wait for their cubes to spawn. And they would actually get a decent score over the course of a match. Simply by camping and doing nothing. And not engaging in PvP, which is the problem. The reason why on Salakaya, or what's it called, Danjik Nadam, is really popular is because by design, this game mode, it means that defending is pointless, because the moment that a point is taken, you don't have to defend it. And turtling doesn't work, because the base, like the points spawn wherever. Which means that the only option left is engaging in PvP. With the exceptions when there are so many points that some teams can just grab the points near their base and that'll be good. But you get the idea, right? The reason why Danjik Nadam is popular and Shatter is not is because Danjik Nadam motivates combat, PvP combat, and Shatter does not. Orion says, my experience has been destroy crystals and you get destroyed in battles because the other party has battle high. That might be true, but it depends on how heavily your group turtles. The problem is that so this applies to all PvP types. If you're in Seal Rock and your team gets like spoon-fed, just served up all of the nice points near your base so nicely that no other team has a chance of taking them for the first like 5 minutes of the match, then you're on the losing team. Even though you're ahead. Because both of the other teams will build up battle high fighting over the last spot that is away from your base. So you will lose in the late game. In Danjik Nadan, the same can happen. The exact same can happen. If you are the team that gets spoon-fed all of the points near your base, you're going to lose, probably, because the other teams will just get battle high away from you. The problem with Shatter in this regard is that you need to send someone to grab the ice cubes near your base. You need to send someone. It's like, imagine like a strategy game where you need peasants to like get gold or something, and regularly the gold mine just respawns. Shatter is that game. That game. Except your peasants are the players. That is where the problems arise, because you kinda need to send someone, but who wants to go? Who wants to not do the PvP? And if too many goes, then you don't have enough people out on the field, and that means that you can't do anything when the big spots appear, right? So it's a really awkward game mode. It might become more popular if people get over the like the fact that it was reworked. Like a lot of the time, the reason people don't like a new thing is because it replaced an old thing. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people hated New Summoner, not because of New Summoner, not because of anything New Summoner did, but because it replaced Old Summoner, which they liked, right? And New Shatter replaced Old Shatter, and some people liked Old Shatter, and those people might not like New Shatter, and because New Shatter came alongside Secure being disabled, it's almost like Shatter replaced both Old Shatter and Old Secure. So it has a lot to live up to, right? It might not be as bad as I or anyone else makes it out to be, but I have gotten the experience that a lot of people really, really don't like Shatter. Coco says, you also did the level 90 raid. I did what? Not today. Well, we didn't do level 90 raid on stream. I did my weekly raids earlier today because I have learned that we never have the time after every day, all the roulettes, and it's often way too late after the stream. You used to do the level 90 alliance raid. That's true. That's true. Zip suggests doing a mentor roulette. That's not happening, by the way. That's not happening. Knowing my luck, we're getting something that takes an hour. But you're right, Coco. We used to also do the newest alliance raid on stream. But I feel like usually we got to that over time. Like, we wouldn't have started that by now. Exactly, Lemon. Surely, I'll get something easy in Mental Roulette. Take your pick. Like, anything from this menu. Or even better, anything from this menu? Like, I've talked about this many times before, but a nice easy mental roulette consisting of Titania EX. But the problem, and I've talked about this before on stream, the problem is that the reason why mental roulette lands you in these extremes is because there is a sprout or multiple sprouts that queued for it. But most of the time, it is like their first or second extreme, like ever. They haven't seen an extreme before, often. And if it's their second one, it's because the first one went surprisingly well. Like if they get Ultimus Bane and their group just happens to nail it, they can do it. It's possible. And then they go, oh, extreme is a little hard, but this can be done. And then they get their second extreme, and it's a lot harder. But the sprouts... Like, you can tell your friends starting on Final Fantasy XIV, you can tell them, listen, extremes, just don't bother queuing for them. They're not supposed to be done in Duty Finder, okay? Just don't bother. And your friend, who has been doing all of this, and some of this, maybe even some of this, go, it's not that, it can't be that hard, surely it can't be that difficult. It'll be fine, we'll just queue for it, my friend is just exaggerating, it's not bad. And the only way for them to go, oh, it is actually not doable, is to go in and fail. And that's the only way to teach them. Thank you all for coming and hanging out, by the way. I see a lot more people are going now. And we are also reaching the end of the stream, don't worry. I'm just having my spiel about extremes, my weekly spiel about mental roulettes and extremes. But exactly, the only way for a new player to realize that an extreme is really hard is to let them go and fail. And it does not work if the mentor comes in and goes, oh, extreme, now we're stuck here for an hour. Because that gives the sprouts the impression that I don't think the mentor's trying very hard. Like, if they've already given up before you start, then you might as well go, oh, it's probably because the mentor isn't trying. That's why we're wiping. So as a mentor, you have to go in, try your best, try and teach the sprouts, and when the timer goes out, you can go, well, these kinds of roulette, like these kinds of duties aren't supposed to be done with Duty Finder. You're supposed to go in with a pre-made team, and then the sprouts might actually, go into Party Finder and try that. Or they will go, oh wait, this is optional. How about I abandon this quest then? And that works. And I'm speaking from experience that I have had several friends that, like new sprouts, told them don't queue for extremes, and they go, like, the best ones is when they actually go into like Ultimus Bane, beat it, and they come back to me and go, ha, we actually did it, so there. And then you can only go, okay then, enjoy. Then they get another extreme, and suddenly it's not so fun. So, yeah. And that is also true, Lemon. If a sprout puts a party finder to do it unsynced, that is a completely different story. But the difficult part is often that they want to do it synced. And this doesn't happen as much now, I feel, but when there was the huge influx of players from WoW, that primarily came because of a bunch of WoW streamers coming over. And the thing is, what these streamers did is when they reached level 50, they were like, they unlocked Ultima's Bane and went, oh yeah, we're doing that synced. Like, some of them even figured out there was this minimum item level thing and did that. You know, brought 7 people in and did it, so they had a party. And it took them hours to do it, like multiple hours. And then other players coming into Final Fantasy XIV go, I want that experience too. I want to do that. I want to do them synced. And I understand. I understand that. Like, as I said, when we did End Singer at minimum item of just regular End Singer, I said I hadn't ever expected that we would be able to have 8 players. I was like resigned a long time ago to go, well, we're probably going to have a very, very disappointing fight with the End Singer. And then we didn't. But some person not streaming and just playing on their own would probably have a really hard time putting together such a group. And that sucks. Like, that really sucks. But especially, like, I can't put together an 8-man group to do minimum item level Ultima's Bane. I can't do that. I don't think I can, at the very least. But that's the kind of motivation, is that you want to do the content at its peak. It's understandable. Now, anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We have done our weekly or daily roulettes at the very least. If you enjoyed the stream, had fun hanging out, consider leaving a like on the stream. And if you aren't in it yet, remember that, consider that this YouTube channel has a community Discord, where there is a channel for a weekly schedule. There's a channel to keep up with whenever I post a stream or a video or whatever it is. There's a channel to follow all that, and then there's like a whole bunch of channels to talk about anything and everything, like music, learning things. The other day I posted a huge spiel about math regarding dancers combos, which I mentioned earlier. And yeah, come hang out. It'll be fun. There's a lot of friendly, wonderful people there, most of which are in this Discord, in this YouTube chat. But yeah, I think you would enjoy it if you like these people. I believe Matthew's there as well. I actually think that at times Matthew's talks more there than he does here. I'm just kidding. It's all in good fun. Matthew's very, very focused on Savage proc. Or Savage reclears. I don't know. But yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. Tomorrow we're trying some more solo challenge stream. So look forward to that. So good night, or good morning, afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. And I hope to see you all very soon. Bye bye. Good night.